Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Appalachian Podcast. I'm Billy Riddle, your host. With me again is my co-host who likes his drinks shaken and not stirred, Simon Winch. Simon, good to see you again.
Always good to see you, Billy. You don't look quite as dishevelled as last week. You obviously have had called up on sleep and such like. You're looking nearly human, Billy.
Yeah. Something weird happened. I think my son slept till 10 one of these days here recently, and I'm normally always up super early. I don't sleep in, and if I by chance have any aspirations of sleeping past 6:30 or 7, he usually squashes them. But I fell asleep and woke up and looked at my clock. It was 10 o'clock. I was like, "Holy hell!" Because I gotten up at about 6 and made my wife coffee and all that kind of stuff, and laid back down in there next to him, thinking, "All right, he'll be up in about an hour." And
it didn't happen, did it?
No, but I got caught up on some sleep and feel a little rejuvenated. I'm sure I'll destroy that.
Give it time, Billy.
Yeah, at some point in time, very, very soon. So, yeah, we're back. It's last episode was I think just you and me. We just kind of talked about
we shot the breeze.
Yeah. And since then, I watched the video of the boat kind of sped up, and now when I watch it sped up, it looks like they made a direct turn straight into the thing. I know we had a big talk on that, and I don't know if I hadn't had time to keep up and see if anything else had come out about whole deal.
We actually beat the news cycle out with that, by the way. Which I thought that's the first.
Well, I don't know if that was the first or not. We've had quite a few moments on here we could have beat the news cycle, but chose not to for, various reasons. You don't want to show all your cards, I guess. But you take what you can get. But that was just an interesting turn of events we had last week. So if you haven't checked out that show, go back. We're still in the process of transitioning here to like a full-time studio where we're going to have cameras and all kind of stuff and production and all that fun stuff. So, just stick around here in the very near future. We got some fun stuff going on. We got,
things are happening.
Yeah. We're super excited about everything going on here in Rocky Mountain, Franklin County, and this whole entire part of Appalachia. For various reasons, there's a lot going on. A lot of these small towns here locally, right in there with us. It wasn't Simon that time.
That wasn't me. I'm not going to point fingers, but I am jubilant that it was not me.
Give it a few minutes. I'm sure Amos will read in here in a moment.
I actually made a preemptive strike and went to vibrate.
Well, there you go.
Wow.
See, we're moving in that. Good Lord, I hope nobody's listening to that little. Please do that again.
No, it's okay. If you got it the first time, you got it. If you know, you know.
So yeah, a lot of cool stuff happening here locally. A lot of, and we like talking about that on these shows, and us as along with a lot of people we talk about, we bring on the show and promote and tell people about a lot of it's because we believe in what they do, and a lot of it's because we just like it and we want people to come here and spend time and money and energy and reinvest in our community. So, and we're the same way, and everything we try and do here is try to be a good ambassador to the town and to the region. So, if everybody goes out there to Bowling's, get you a hot dog or a drink, or even swing by Starbucks, or for all you people out there who came and partied with me and Amos over the years, all those kegs, just take that money each month, just one of those drinks, one of those hot dogs, and go to patreon.com/getontap and become a subscriber. It's only $10 a day minimum, but you can probably squeeze out $10. I know some of my buddies out there listening are a bunch of tight asses. Y'all could throw $10 out there and jump the numbers up for us, because every dime really does help. We don't have a burger to sell you or a jacket or something Simon can knit, although I've heard he's got some phenomenal fingers when it comes to sewing.
You are in range.
So every little bit helps for anybody out there that chips in. Every dollar goes towards getting this studio up and getting this production stuff, whatnot going. And we kind of like to say what we want on here. And when you get sponsors and go after stuff like that, we don't want you talking about this, or we don't want you talking about that, or they might come and say, well, you need to have this opinion on an issue in town. So that's why we don't like going after sponsors. We like saying what we want to say. So everybody out there, you're our biggest supporter. So patreon.com/getontap to get subscriber only shows. You get after shows. Sometimes we get pretty spicy. And here coming up in the near future, we got some other cool stuff happening. We're going to send over there Patreon. We got another little side project, us and Chip over there, being libertarian. He runs all those accounts. Massive following. Me and him are going to start teaming up here in the very near future with somebody. A lot of y'all know a pretty big name out there. He's going to at least have a segment on the show. We're going to be doing a side show. And
is this still a secret then?
Yes, it is. We're not talking about it yet, but it's kind of a big deal. Kind of a big deal. So stick around for that. Trying to think of what else I missed. Oh yeah, thanks to the Burger Company and Brian and them down there. Hopefully, once again, when you go subscribe to us and everything, you help us get these shows going in these public places around here. Some big names we've got here coming up. We're going to go try and do in the Bell Room down there at the Burger Company. Yeah, haven't had a bad meal in there in quite some time. Probably since it's been there. Especially with Chef Bo down in there now. Every time you go in there, it's always hot and it always tickles your fancy. So, but today's show, I'm super excited. Talking about kind of in a lot of the rhythm of the things we do and where we go with this show and promoting local. We got some local people here today. I know Simon's been in touch with these folks here for quite some time, so I'm going to let him introduce y'all and kind of explain to y'all how. Actually, no, you've got something.
I want to touch on something a little bit political.
What? You don't say.
Well, I mean, it's very topical, and I don't want to mix it in with the conversation we're going to have with our guests. So there's the fire truck has been a very hot topic between town council and the county and the board of supervisors. And it's been quite contentious. So there's been quite a division between the two government entities, which has been problematic. But we're really looking at, I think a tanker truck at 1.1 million and a ladder truck at 2.5. Now, these have been bought for all the right reasons. We've touched on the last show that we had with Robert Wood and Holland Purdue over at Anastasia. We talked about the whole process of that purchase, and it was very transparent, and I thought it was very good of them to be that transparent with why it was necessary to purchase when they did, to save probably in excess of over $1 million by making the purchase when they did. But we're still back and forth with the county with regards to who is going to be paying for it. And just throwing a little bit of light on that, the Rocky Mount Volunteer Fire Department does 60% of its calls outside of town limits, which is supporting the county. And they do an extremely great job of doing that. But nonetheless, 60% occur outside of town limits. We know that we've got dual taxation within the town. So the town folks not only pay the Rocky Mount tax, they also pay Franklin County tax. So there's an interesting dynamic there with who should and shouldn't share the burden of the cost of this new equipment. And that's been ongoing. So I'm just going to lay the facts out and just let everyone think about chewing the cud for a while. Now I know the county made an original offer of $50,000 a year for 20 years. And that was approved unanimously by the board of supervisors. Now that offer was actually rejected by town council. And really they're looking, for a different kind of deal. So it all comes down to number crunching. Now whether they get their 1.1 million to pay off the tanker and then deal with the ladder truck separately. But I think there's a certain amount of finance is required from the county with the amount of out-of-town calls that the fire department does. So if you accept that, but then we go into a memorandum of understanding that I think was established a number of years ago. And it was put in place with the town council and the board of supervisors, where it would, and this memorandum of understanding did not include capital expenditure purchases. Now I know this is going to be revisited I think in the next couple of weeks, maybe sooner than that. And we're trying to figure out, and there's been a lot of rumours that go back and forth. That the current ladder truck that is in use at the moment only has something like 8 or 10,000 miles to it. And it's very easy to swing round. Now, my first impression was, well, that's 8 to 10,000 miles for a diesel engine. That thing ain't even been broken in. But it turns out that this particular ladder truck is in excess of 20, maybe 30 years old. So it's going to need replacing on that basis, not on the mileage basis. It's just an old. Now, I hope that both parties can come up with an offer that satisfies both of them, because that's a good deal, right? If both the county is happy, town council is happy, there's a deal. It's 1.1 million. However they want to do it, it needs to get done. But the fact that they're talking about a little bit of horse trading is a good thing. We know the town volunteers also get funds from the county, but let's not confuse those. Those are for paying the volunteers their stipend, and also paying for gas and so forth. So let's not confuse that element of, well, the county pays. That isn't necessarily a genuine argument. I would say that would be a disingenuous argument, because it really doesn't go into the capital expenditure of replacing worn out old equipment. I just hope they get to revisit this memorandum of understanding, because it clearly needs correcting, because to say that there are no capital expenditures for the town could potentially do the town financially a lot more harm. So I hope they get to come up with an agreement, revisit the memorandum of understanding, and it's very much like the school board and the canneries, both in Glaygill and Callaway, and it's a very similar thing. The school board funds the running costs of the canneries, but when it comes to big capital expenditures, that goes on to another county. It doesn't come out of the school board. And so we need that sort of understanding with capital expenditure that both the town and the county are happy to support. So there's going to be some horse trading back and forth. I just want to get the facts out there. I support the idea that worn out equipment needs replacing. Now, the biggest element that I think we have between the town and the county is that the safety department is the one that's got the runaway budget issues, which is the county. And that's going to be problematic. So I'm going to let that stew and stir, but now we'll get back on to really what we have here with our guests this evening.
I tell you what, anytime anybody ever says that I'm jockeying for political position, I'll just point them towards these moments right there. This is how anybody that's in office, I'll give them just a little bit of empathy, because it's just some of the stuff they have to deal with is just so awfully boring and mundane. And see, if I'm ever going to be a politician, I'm not going to be like Trump, but I have to be somebody who just comes in and says, all right, you do this, I'm here for the cameras. I would have to be somebody very vain, because
but let's be functional about it.
Because the P's and the Q's.
We've got a little bit of dysfunction between the two government entities that we have to deal with locally. And, we just need to get beyond that, get them talking, get them communicating, coming up with a deal that makes everybody happy. And, just make it happen.
Yeah, I'm not built for that side of the aisle, though.
Oh, no, I'm not.
I'd be cracking. Little empathy for having to just deal with that nonsense on a daily basis.
So this evening's show, I've known Amy now for a year and a half.
At least.
Maybe 2, yeah, something like that. We first got introduced over the Morris Hotel and the EDA. And
because I spoke with her first, reaching out to Philip back. We tried to get him on the show.
Right.
Yeah, because He had people.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah, we got peace.
You do know that to this day, that's the most listened to show we've ever had.
That's what I was telling Jason as we were.
It's wild. Like, I guess
it's insane. But I mean, and I wasn't on my best behavior. I was not on my best behavior. But there we go.
He really is.
I mean, on occasion I am. I try to be Billy now. I mean, now I've got certain responsibilities as a co-host.
That's professionalism, just just a little bit.
But really, we've got around the studio this evening the pickers of friendly encounters, right? I mean, this is where we're at. I think what's been going on. I watch Amy's paint, which is
the painted trunk.
The painted trunk. Get on there. I mean, you've got to have an eye for this stuff. And what you are picking fascinates me because I think if I had a house big enough, I'd buy it all.
Okay.
Because it's cool.
We deliver.
With goods. I like that.
So hold on. So pickers, what are pickers? Is that like the show where people go, that one of those TV shows where people go find stuff in a treasure? There you go. Okay, perfect. Now I might have to get a beer now.
Well, there we go.
That's what I like to see. I'm going to just slide back here and grab me one.
Yeah. So we've got Billy, Jason, and Brian. Got Billy. Billy's always bloody. And we've got Amy, Brian, and Jason. And just introduce yourselves and tell us your story, because I think you've got something that you're bringing to town that is going to be perfectly timed for really relaunching downtown. And what you're doing is creative, but explain in your own words and just chime in and fatten it out amongst yourself. I'm dying to hear the full story. I've only heard the press cuttings, but I'd have to get into
the press cuttings. Well, my name is Amy Worley, and I was born and raised in Franklin County, and both families here. And I moved right after high school graduation, and I moved like 22 times. I was quite the gypsy, working everywhere else, and
they've done that.
Came back home about 8 years ago. So that I think it's been.
Are you related to Jeff Worley?
Yes, in a distant, like we call those Fair Worleys or the Sontag Worleys. So
okay. I just had to ask because I thought
his parents were like my dad's cousins.
Okay.
Because it's not, we're related because we share a last name.
Okay.
We know.
But loosely related somewhere as fellow four cousins or something. I just had to ask. Yeah.
The Sontag Worleys.
Amos and
talk about the Mystic Missile.
Oh, I don't know about that.
Oh,
Sash Worley.
Well, that's my uncle.
Okay, yeah, that was his famous car back in the early 90s. I think it was called the Mystic Missile, the number 4 car. That was one of the more famous cars in auto racing in the modified series. That's pretty wild.
My dad is his youngest brother.
Okay, we've had Satch on the show before. It's one of the more listened to shows we've ever done too. People loved it. He's got some stories now.
Yes, my dad's a good storyteller too. He's the one we send pictures to sometimes. Go, do you know what this is? Like, where did this come from, or how can we fix it? Like,
how does it work?
How does it work? So yes,
and he may have a video for that.
And he might have a video for it because he's seen it. But yeah, born and raised here, moved back. This is my second business investment.
Now you run the bed and breakfast.
Sold that last summer.
So, you sold it. I wasn't aware of that.
Yes, and Robin is there now. She's done great thanks to the house. It's super busy. She loves it.
Fantastic.
He's a fantastic addition to Rocky Mount in Franklin.
Great. That's great to hear because, I mean, again, it's another success story of an entrepreneur, local business. This is what we love. I think we need to promote all of this. And don't be shy about it.
Right. And that's really how I got started. I've been in retail my entire life and had to buy for that house because it was 8 bedrooms, 8 bathrooms, totally empty. Didn't realize they'd even taken the bathroom mirrors until the first guest checked in. And I had to fill it up because I was coming from a 2-bedroom apartment, downsized all the way to
nothing like treasure.
I filled it in a year.
Right on.
By thrifting. So I couldn't quit shopping after that. So
you got the buzz, didn't you? I
was in some booze. So we got some antiques going, but
very cool.
Yeah.
I'm Brian Olinger. Let's see. Was it
Navy vet, 20
20
years,
years,
submariner, watch out.
some of the technician submarines. Let's see. Wasn't born here, but moved here when we were 1 year old. When I was 1 year old,
That's
I'm 3. So
that counts.
close enough.
You're good.
Grew up here, did 20 years in the Navy.
But you grew up in the Claiborne house.
During one time, let's see, 86, 87 time frame.
You lived in my
I
house.
lived in the Claiborne house. Before it was called the Claiborne house, it was simply 145 Claiborne.
185. Yeah, 185.
So mom and I lived there in 86, 87. So,
Nice.
but the first house I lived in was the first house on the left on Claiborne, owned by Mr. Allman. That was the proprietor of Western Auto. And my store is located in the former Western Auto. So I've had that in my, in my circle for a long time there. So anyway, did my 20 years, came home and didn't know what the heck to do with myself, to be honest with you. So I had gotten into going to auctions and buying a bunch of silly toys and fun things like that up in Connecticut. And
Now, what was your specialty there? Because most people have a specialty. Now, that can cover a number of subjects, I'm aware of.
yeah,
But you normally start as a collector of something specific.
toys. And specifically some old Matchbox cars from the late 50s, early 60s.
Matchbox in the box.
Oh, one step from, like literally, box wasn't there, but all the accessories and stuff. were there.
Okay.
So bought about 25 of them for $150 and sold them individually on eBay and made several $100s. So that was the cool thing of, wow, I didn't have to dig a ditch or anything like that. So I made some money. So I got into it, snowball from there. Anyway, I've been running my shop for, it's my 10th year. So right on the coattails of the Harvester.
Right. Now, what do you specialize in, or is it just now across the board, a bit more diverse?
Toys is still a passion of mine, but I've realized that's a niche market or whatever there. So the fine line between museum and store sometimes there, but whatever. Anyway, toys, and then because of my location to the Harvester and literally opened up 4 months after that, there was the thing of, I need some records in here. That'd be fun. Yes, the vinyl craze shot into, the stratosphere right after that. So
Isn't that fascinating? We were up at 5 Points, having a very similar conversation about, and I think also with Chris, from Floyd Fest. We were talking about that vinyl explosion now that's really, it's come full circle, but with teeth. Because now they've got so high tech with the decks and how you're keeping interference out of the vinyl interpretation. It's cleaned up the vinyl, which in my opinion has always been the best. That's what you want to listen to.
I think we took technology too far. That
Very much
you can
so.
sit there and hold your phone in front of somebody and say, I've got 10,000 albums on my phone, and no one seems to care. But when you say, step into my man cave with 10,000.
But no one owns those digital ones and zeros. With a vinyl record, you own it.
Right.
And
That's why I say
the quality is truer to I think the studio recording interpretation on the vinyl than it would be from a 1 and 0 digital interpretation.
Because I'm still clipping something off.
Of course it does. So going into vinyl, I think is awesome. And I think that trajectory is only going to keep launching and launching because it's true. It's the true music that you own.
Right.
And that's cool. I love it. It's a little bit snobby. I get it. But why not, right?
Exactly.
If you're gonna get excited about something that you love, you should all love music.
Well, that's what we thrive on. We thrive on, things that people want to show off and say, hey, look what I got.
Yeah. Have you got an original vinyl, whatever it may be? Oh, yeah, come down to it. Let's get it on. Brilliant. Oh, wow. I like it.
Exactly. Me too.
Yeah. Now, Jenison, you're looking very serious. So, what have you got to say?
Well,
Put you on the spot, mate. Let's see what you've got, because I know you're a funny guy. You've already made me laugh several times.
well, now I am on the spot, but I'm Jason London. I'm not from Franklin County. I'm from South Carolina. And I'm also not the Jason London that was in Days Confused or anything else. So let's just get that out of the way.
Well, we could have let people. We could have said we could have let people think about that and see them for a while. And
Yeah, but if they weren't listening closely enough,
because
it would be.
we could have said, "Hey, big secret about Jason at the end of this show," just. But so you drag him on.
Wasn't the true celebrity say he wasn't the celebrity?
You know what? He wants to hide out here in the mountains somewhere. Got tired of the limelight.
Went undercover.
Yeah,
Exactly what
Had to go dark.
yeah. Well,
Or he's been dazed and confused.
I believe that's what.
Yeah, so I'm dazed and confused. I'm dazed and confused. So anyway, I'm out of South Carolina, and I've been a picker for basically all my life. I've been professional at it for 15 years. And my background for that was not anything other than a desire to get into old farms and look at that old stuff, because that's what I grew up in. And in fact, the county that I grew up in, South Carolina, is Berkeley County, and its history is a whole lot like Franklin County, and specifically a whole lot like Rocky Mount. Music, moonshine, all the good stuff. And
Where's Berkeley County at? And
it's part of that 3-county area around Charleston.
okay,
Yeah, so the coastal area, the swamp. The area that I grew up in was hellhole, and that's where all the moonshine stills were. And actually, that's where I grew up, right up the road from where they flooded to make Lake Moultrie, which is the first project that they did the New Deal on. So anyway, that kind of stuff floated my boat, and it was something that I would go around collecting things that had a story. We're just sitting here saying I want to collect for the values, or for the rarity of it. Mine was the story. I always liked to.
So there's a big historical element behind.
Yeah. I just
what excites you, and that's actually how it should be.
Yeah. Well, I've always liked it that way. I remember going into some of the sheds around my grandparents' farm, and you could pick up a hammer or just a tool in general, and you could look at that handle, and you could see those years of hands rubbing down, and knew that my hand's fitting where my grandpa's hand fit. And I see that in everything that we do now. And so,
made of hickory, not pine.
There you go.
Yeah. I get it.
Yeah.
I get it big time.
And so, where I have a love for vinyl, and I have a love for a lot of these things that we're playing around with over at the Painted Trunk. But you really want to see me get excited, take me to a house where you got 2 or 3 generations in there, and there's some hidden stories in there. You're sitting there going through it, trying to figure out what happened and where things were, and who they were.
Now, it's interesting when we go down this road, because you see, I don't want the eyes to roll, but the program pickers, it's very contrived. I get it. I know how it works, and it's not as wild as like an organic, perhaps, as it should be. But nonetheless, it does send and sell a great message. But you also come across the hoarder.
Oh yeah.
Now, when you see some of those hoardings, your eyes are going to light up and go, "Oh my goodness! I'm in, Aladdin's cave, and this is."
But there's a very fine line between
But they don't want to sell a damn thing.
Well, there's a very fine line between hoarding and collecting.
Right. Now, the collectors that are prepared to sell with no emotional
Not necessarily.
All right. No. Enlighten me.
There's not necessarily hoarding. The hoarding is a sickness.
Oh, absolutely it is.
So
it's horrible.
Everybody, I'm a hoarder. I have all this stuff. It's excuse my house. I collect. It's not.
Oh no, way worse than that.
It is way worse than that, and that is not a term we throw around lightly. Collectors collecting collections.
They're proud of their collection. It's not left in an outhouse for the last 30 years. But gems of yarns.
The Dollar General closed 5 years ago.
Right.
I bought the entire infant.
And the whole hoarding thing too is everything. You'll go into a hoarding house, and there's clothes, and there's magazines, and there's always
It
mess.
does not make sense, and it's not put together.
But there is a generation that gets clumped into that whole hoarding. And they said my grandparents were hoarders. They were not. They were people who saved things they felt would have a use later on.
Well, because a lot of our grew up in the Great Depression era and stuff too. You don't throw anything away back in. So I think you start reaching hoarder status when you have feces around on your floor and stuff. I think that's probably a good safe time to start saying.
It's
Like, well, I can't throw away this kitty litter because it's still got,
I do. I watch Pickers. Okay, I'm sorry. I watch Pickers. I find it very entertaining.
Right.
And that's what the show is. But for you guys actually being pickers that have a retail outlet that isn't a televised show, you've got probably a very different perspective than doing it as a show.
Oh, definitely.
So I'd like to hear the difference between what we perceive as televised pickers as to what you guys are doing, because it's very, very different, I'm sure.
Well, they changed pricing. Well, I mean, I was doing this before that the show came on. And then when the show came on, you'd get Mike and Frank going in and say, well, I found this sign. I'm going to give you $5,000 for it, and I'm going to sell it for $5,001. And he's like, you can't do that. That's not a business model. What are you thinking? But all of a sudden you would go into somebody's house who's got this great collection. And I said, well, I saw this on American Pickers, and they gave him $5,000. And
So they're killing you.
Well,
To a degree.
people are smart. They know what's up. And so you go in there and say, I can't give you $5,000 for this. I just drove up in this truck. I just had with this trailer. I spent a bunch of money on gas.
Those are farm use tax, by the way.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry.
And that's just not that's not how this thing works. And so, the whole Picker show, they're great because if nothing else, it's giving you an education of some of the stuff that's worth saving. And that's one of the biggest deals, is that you go into somebody's house and say, my kids, my brother, somebody's been in here for 3 weeks throwing things away. Like, what'd you do away? Like,
That's what
the
makes
thing
me
your nails on the
cringe.
chalkboard.
Yeah.
That makes me cringe.
Please don't throw stuff away. Don't get that manicure and crying, the week after so and so passed away or moved out or whatever. Just because for no reason.
So estate sales could be a picker's paradise.
At the most part, if it's not some of the quote professional estate sales that a company comes in, you or whatnot. If it's the family that's trying to do one, those are somewhat can be true.
So the auctioneers really have taken that away from the grassroots pickers like yourselves.
Not necessarily. I mean, it kind of all ties together with what we lose from American picking on television. Is they walk up, ring the doorbell, and have this great connection with somebody, like automatically.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, have you met humans?
yeah. I used to do
That is not a thing.
Yeah.
Very contrived. Very contrived.
I knocked on a door. It's probably been 10 years ago now. And I used to do that a good bit, where I'd go through these back roads, and, well, that looks interesting. Let me go knock on a door. And I did just that. And
Found a 12 gauge.
I did exactly that. They opened the door and it was to my chest. It's like, well, we're done with this.
I'll give you my sitting down.
Let's look at Facebook. Let's see what we can do with that.
There's the path of retreat.
Yeah.
This is pretty interesting because this kind of reminds me of our shows with Don and Kelly Johnson over at Beyond the Dark Paranormal, because they do a lot of it's not the same exact thing, but, where they're doing something and you're all doing something that's now become popularized through television and internet and all that kind of stuff. Like, really crazy fine lines you have to walk, and you really are seeing the one side. I encourage anybody to go give them a follow. They're really good people. And I'm hoping here, of course, we always like bringing them on for our Halloween special, but I'm hoping sometime this summer we can get them down somewhere, maybe with Henry, because he's got that property down at the lake, and let them do one of their little searches. We can tag along and Simon will probably call in some of his buddies at MI6 and do Project Bluebeam and have some spirits like dancing around that'll pick up just to scare us.
If anyone has a Yeti suit, I'd like to loan it just for a short photo shoot.
Suit. You just need to find someone that can wear a ghillie suit, and that is equally as scary.
Oh, right. Well, no, I need to do it to replicate a certain thing. I've got something in mind. But anyway, where was I going with this? So how does that equate locally? Because I'm going to label you as our Franklin County pickers, and I would that be offended? Would you be offended by being called the Franklin County pickers?
Definitely not.
Perfect. Perfect. So and this is the market you're looking.
Well, let me tell you, the reason Jason and I are business partners, we're neighbors with Brian, and we have a Bible going no matter what. But Jason and I were both pickers, and we kind of picked in our own circles, and he bought something from me and I bought something from him. And this past summer, I had the opportunity to take on an entire house as an estate and did not know half of what I was looking at. So I called Jason in and we took it on together, and we decided this partnership kind of works pretty good. I do house stuff. He taught me a lot about tools. Like, it's working really, really good. But it is, and we thought we had that connection of, we can pick everything from here to Charleston, because he's got, his house down there. And we haven't gotten out of Franklin County yet.
Oh yeah, that was the original intent with the partnership. It's like, Amy will sit here and do some things. I'm going to be on the road. I'm going to buy a new truck, expand the trailer. We're sleeping in the back. It's going to be great.
You sit on the farm plates, going to Franklin County.
No, I'm driving from over Cave Spring area to here every morning and having my coffee and working. But the fact of the matter is that I thought that I had to go to South Carolina, and I had to go to these backwoods through North Carolina, and what I thought were these little honey holes of places that maybe nobody else knew. But then when you get to Franklin County and you start looking around and you start hearing the stories. I mean, we started talking about Amy's uncle, but you listen to her dad and what he talks about with his race career and some of the things that he knows, and just people in general like that. I mean, there's just really great stuff around here. And you go towards the lake and you're finding one thing, but then you start going down the crooked road back towards North Carolina and you're finding a whole different thing. I mean, I remember driving up here the first time coming that way, and I don't know who owns it, and I hope you're listening because I'd love to come see you. But there's somebody at all these semi trucks and trailers. I'm a pushover for an old semi truck. I love them. I love all of that kind of stuff. And it was all on the left. I got to go look. But you don't see that just everywhere, but it's a lot of it here.
Yeah.
And so I guess the point of all this is that I'm supposed to be on the road. I'm supposed to be doing all these things, but this is one great place. This is a honey hole.
It's a honey hole. There we go. Yeah. A honey hole.
It's just a lot of good things that people talk about moonshine, and they talk about all these things that made Franklin County, and still here.
What is I don't want to put it in monetary terms, what is the most exciting item that you have picked? And it may not have historical relevance or whatever, but something will have lit you up where you think, man, that is mine. I got to have it. Can you think of a couple of those examples? Because it just intrigues me.
Oh, I got a good one right off the bat, because it just happened this past Christmas, and we had these two sisters whose father and mother passed away, and they were getting rid of the stuff in the house. And anyway, we went in around Christmas and we're going through it, and you come to find out they had 2 or 3 generations of stuff sitting in the house. And one of the uncles, I think, was a POW World War II, but he was a music teacher up in New York, somewhere, New Jersey. Anyway, we start talking to him about it, and we're finding his pictures, and we're finding things where he was a music teacher in New Jersey. Come to find out, when he was a POW, he started putting together shows for the other POWs, and he was in Starlight 13, just like Vince Heroes.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So Starlight 13, very famous prison camp.
Yep. And so he's going around doing that, and at some point, the guards figured this out, that he was doing this, and made him start putting together plays and shows for the Germans. And so he would not talk about it for years and years and years.
By the way, I don't want to correct you, but it's Z Germans.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, he wouldn't talk about it for years and years and years. And it just so happens that my son, who is was a first class one, he's a senior at VMI, who is a history major, who wants to be a professor, who wants to work in museum curation, is there with me. And they start talking to him about it, and they start talking about these tapes that, after years and years and years of this guy never talking about it, they recorded all of his stories and all of this stuff. And so
there's a book.
That is exactly right. And so we're not there yet. They're still trying to get this thing on the CDs for us. But that's the kind of thing that I'm like, holy cow, this was the most perfect thing ever. My son's sitting there, and he has the potential of coming out of VMI with the exact right materials to write a book.
Fantastic.
And the things that he wants. And that for me trumps anything that you could ever possibly find.
I mean, a lot of those guys that ran those POW camp theatre shows were actually integral parts of escape committees covering something else, whether that was a tunnel or whatever it may be. I know a lot of the some of those theatrical shows covered, particularly Colditz Castle. That's the one I'm very familiar with. But was how they used not necessarily sporting events to run tunnels, but theatrical shows. So it was all integral to getting out of POW status. And I've got some great stories about that too, but I'm not going to share them now. But I know exactly what you're talking about, and I think that's fascinating because that's our living history.
Yeah, and that's
and you. I mean, if you hadn't picked that story would have been lost.
Yeah, and there's a lot of instances like that. That's the one that's nearest and dearest to me right now. Probably the biggest, the most significant pick I've personally ever had that was saved something that was worth saving was, so in South Carolina, where I'm based out of, it's very, very close to Augusta, Georgia, and everybody's familiar with Augusta National, right? Augusta National, the Masters. So I got a call that said, please come down to Augusta. We've got this old shed in the back. We want you to go through it, see what's there. And I said, okay. And actually it took me a lot longer than it usually takes me to get there, but I went. Come to find out it's on the old Augusta National course, not the Masters course, not Augusta National, but the Country Club course, which is the oldest portion in that area. So I go into this place, and it's the middle of July, and in South Carolina in July, you're going to, yes, stinking hot. At 2:00, you're going to have a thunderstorm. Walk in this place, realize right off the bat it's a detached kitchen from the original estate. There's bats in it, and if you've ever been into a house with bats in it, they start echoing on you, and then makes your ears hurt, and it's bad.
A bat guano is
yeah, it's bad. And so I start yanking stuff out of that thing, and I start seeing that I've got an office from a 1950s engineering firm, and I was like, well, that looks interesting. Pull it all out, throw it in the truck, take it back to my home base, let it sit there for 2 weeks, and then I started thinking, what do I have? Because there was this tube. And it was filled with vellum plants, big vellum plants, where you would have had something like 4 feet long. Right. And so I started going through it. My background's horticulture, which is ornamental plants. And so I knew something along the lines of how the Augusta National came to be, the golf course. And so for your listeners, Augusta National was built on Fruitland Nursery, which was a King's Grant nursery down there. And so it was the original ornamental plant nursery. So I'm going through these plans. All of a sudden, I start seeing these things. It's like, I need to open this thing up. And lo and behold, I've got the plans for Fruitland Nursery being converted to the Masters. And so it was Bobby Jones. Wow. And that crew had hired this engineering firm. And what he did after the fact of closing up his office is threw a bunch of stuff into a tube that he thought was significant, put it in the shed, thinking somebody would figure it out one day. And then he got lost to time. And so then when I went in there and found it, we were able to find the as-builts, the topography as it was at the time, and we sold them at auction, made good money on it. But that's not the point. Again, it's pickers get, it sounds like you're going in just for the money, but really, my God, you don't get into it because you want the money. You're going into it because you love a story, you love a vibe, and you love a feel for all the stuff. I mean, vinyl, you're sitting there and you want to listen to a good recording on vinyl, and you don't want to sit there and play on YouTube and hear this stuff.
No, yeah. But the worst thing you can do. But I mean, I get that, and that's very. You've got a historical perspective that just. I mean, I would love to have been an archaeologist, maybe a marine archaeologist, but that's another story. But that losing history is. I mean, just keep bringing it back. Don't let it go. Brilliant.
I think that's a big reason why I kind of started this show as well. I mean, it's, there's, and I guess y'all are kind of understand how it goes. There's a lot of people out there who fancy themselves as pickers or whatever. There's a million people out there that have podcasts. It's a very saturated market, but I guess the best thing about our show is our niche is we don't really have a niche. And one of the big reasons, for me in the beginning was just to record this kind of history and God willing, this technology lasts for a couple hundred years. My great grandkids will be able to listen to these stories and kind of figure out what was going on at the time. And I was thinking about that just now, and it kind of got me to thinking as well, how far off are we really from being completely ignorant to the technology that moved this world just how many decades ago? Like right now, could we really do what we did in the 60s with NASA? I don't think we could. And it's not that we don't have the capabilities. It's just we've forgotten how to do it that way. So when you have an ever evolving industrial society, well, that just leaves relics nonstop. So, I mean, when you all are going in there's, that's what I like about the story aspect. There's so much historical, data you can pull from just something as simple as a shovel, as y'all said earlier, in a house or anything. So I enjoy that aspect of it. I'm glad there are people out there that are moving the needle in that direction, because like I've done that. I think everybody, there's crap around here that doesn't really matter a lot. I got a couple 100,000 Iraqi dinars in my, my bedroom downstairs. It's basically monopoly money now, but in 150 years, if I got Saddam's picture on it, Confederacy money was monopoly money at one time, and now, you know what I mean? Like, so I think we've all kind of got that. That is everybody in the room right now. That's kind of got this aspect of wanting to preserve history in their own special way. So I really like how this whole deal is going here. I really like what y'all were into.
And bringing it out to a retail environment where we can all enjoy it. It does it justice, I mean, I know I bought a cobalt blue user from you at Christmas, and it may not be the most functional piece of testing, but it is just.
Well, I got a book right there on the shelf. It's still it's plastic. I don't know. That's that's exactly what it is. And I tried to find that thing online everywhere 3 or 4 years ago, and it was going for 220, 250, 300, everywhere you could look. Walked into the Historical Society right across the street one day, looked at it sitting on the desk. I said, holy crap. I said, how much for that? $100 right there. I mean, still in its plastic.
Wow.
Everywhere else on the internet going for $200-$300. I could have probably turned around and sold it for that, but I want to keep that. I don't want.
And there's also repurposing as well. I know, Amy, you do a lot of repurposing. And rejuvenating of stuff to bring it into a retail environment. And I think that takes there's an artistic skill that you have to be able to do that and have that vision. And I think you've got it. You've done some fantastic stuff. I've been to this sort of devil times there, and I just wander around and just like, man, she did a great number on this, and your webpage really highlights that.
Well, I think it's a different aspect of how we pick, because I've got to have that plan already in place. So we go out and we look at these places. Sometimes it walks in, sometimes we go to these houses, and you have to have 2 steps ahead to say, is this the season coming up? Do I need to store it, or can I turn this into something that makes sense? I mean, we can all just put shelves up in a building and put stuff on a shelf with a price tag on it. It doesn't necessarily do justice to its story as it sits there. But as we pick, and we have, I think we have about 45 consigners right now. Doesn't mean that we went into all their houses. It could mean they brought things to us, or it's pieces that we've picked up. But all 45 of those consigners might have one item, and we're still telling a cohesive story or on a timeline to make it all work at a retail level. And my favorite thing to pick are cake tins with the cover.
Biscuit tins or cake tins?
I do like a good biscuit tin. But
I have a recent church of biscuit tin. Of course I do, Billy.
So cake tins for me, it doesn't really matter. There's not a lot of expensive cake tins out there. But if I'm at an estate sale, or I'm at a yard sale or a house, or someone's invited us in to look, I automatically go, if I were to open that lid, what kind of cake would I have in it? Because they immediately go back to grandma always had a lemon pound cake in it, or grandma always had a chocolate pound. It was something, and you just see the whole change on their face.
Yeah.
And it takes them right back.
And that's the joy of my end of it, of the toys and everything.
Yeah.
Of watching everybody's face light up with the toys. Because
now,
90% of
how often do your picks come with the original box?
not enough.
Because there are some that does significantly include.
And those are the fun ones that, as you're walking out the door and they hit you, oh, by the way, I forgot that I've got all the boxes upstairs, like, oh, thank you for.
Hallelujah.
Oh,
Here's a moment.
Yes, exactly. So, yes, there are those freaks out there that the parents instill that type of OCD or different type of.
Yeah, I'm afraid I kept the boxes of some metal aircraft models.
Oh, yeah.
But and they take up an enormous amount of room.
Yeah. And that's
well, I couldn't throw them out.
Yeah. Well, I'm more than happy to get there's guys like you still up there. That's what keeps us going. Right?
It's kind of disturbing. You can say, well, you're on the way.
Just talking about how we get into things or whatnot. I'm the offspring of 2 teachers here in the county. So when I opened up my store, I've had years and years of students that, I had your mom or dad as a teacher, instant comfort level, and hey, I've got my toys. Sure, it's good to me, not a problem. So
yeah,
usually
come on down.
Usually, well, if they had my mom, it was definitely positive, but my dad was a disciplinarian, so a lot of negative stories about dad in the 70s or 80s, back in the days of paddling and all that good stuff. So dad was the disciplinarian at Rockland Elementary School.
That makes negotiation a little tough when you're asking.
Yeah.
Well, when they come in the door and say, "Oh, that was your father that I had in 6th grade," and then they put up a wall, and I get the tease and say, "You only had to deal with them for 180 days when you were 12. I've been doing it for 52 years."
Yeah. Think about my situation. Give me a break.
Right.
All the way, where are you toys?
So, but no, it's just, that's the fun for me, is to watch face light up and well, plus usually, there's toys in the house somewhere, give or take, and kids or grandkids or whatever. So
yeah, Steiff bears and all that good stuff. Yeah, I mean,
I've got about 100 million toys in this house right now. Feel free to pick whatever you want as you walk out the door. Doesn't matter.
what about your stuff?
How have you found? Have you had advantages from some of the open days that we've had as the town of Rocky Mount, where we've had the festivals or whatever it may be? Have you seen a significant uptick in foot traffic? Has that been to your advantage? How do you hope to take advantage of really what is going to be a prime location in downtown Rocky Mount? I mean, I think you're in an amazing position in a retail environment in downtown Rocky Mount. I mean, talk us about how do you see that future evolving? How can the town help? I mean, give us some insight.
We're on the right path. We're continuing to move forward, and again, as the kid that grew up right here in town, 1 block over, 2 blocks over, 5 blocks over, whatever time, we're doing it. I can't believe it. So to be a part of it is exciting for me. But yeah, every time we have 150 Fest or Christmas or whatever the case may be, it's always increased foot traffic, and sales might not be the best that night, but it leads on to future things of a Christmas purchase for my wife.
Yeah.
That has to have that Barbie dream house on the shelf, or you need to come over and look at my stuff.
Well, but actually, and the flip side of that is, and I've been guilty of this, is I'll call Amy up. So I'm looking for a certain type of bread bin, and calling you up and say, keep an eye out for this. That's got to be, I mean, that to me is, that's a side of, I'm making it. Now I've got people coming to me saying, can you find
this.
And I would think, I mean, I know for me that that's all part of the fun when you go to the estate sale and the yard sale and you find the desired item and you think, well, I've already got this.
I've got a marker for this already.
Right. I've already got somebody, I can make somebody happy with this. So.
Exactly. So rather than have to go, round a number of stores or the Virginia, whatever it is, up by, somewhere around there. And also to go through all of those stores, but you never have any contact with those people. Okay, you don't see, the booth owners. And it may be, you can go into a booth there and you kind of think, man, this is my kind of stuff, whether it's old tools or whatever it may be. But you never see the person there. And to have that ability to be able to call you guys up and say, I'm looking for this particular item. I'm in no rush, but if you ever come across it, here's my number. I encourage everyone to do that because there's a point of contact and you guys you're in deep in the county.
Well, I have a running list.
Yeah.
I know you do.
Yeah, I've got a Rolodex full of stuff.
Right. And we still have a tremendous customer base for Jason's folks in South Carolina. They're buying things from Franklin County in South Carolina. Like,
how crazy is that?
When would they have had opportunity to shop? Franklin County.
Exactly. And that's, to me, that is the digital age. If you don't have that presence, you wouldn't open yourself up to that market.
Mm-hmm.
So what we're seeing now is the benefit of almost instant gratification, kind of, with the digital age, with historical.
And on both fronts too, because you have brick and mortar as well. So, that's, I think that's the best part of it is being able to have a physical location. And I guess that's kind of what I hope people start moving back towards is having vibrant downtowns and people showing up and kind of pulling themselves. I mean, hit the best of both worlds, but get out and socialize and speak with, because you never know what kind of a deal you might catch. When you can scroll a web page for an hour and a half, but going in there and talking to somebody, you might get an idea that just rings, and they might have something sitting right there for you, or it can lead you in a direction to find that. The internet it's nice, but get out and talk. Go find the brick and mortar locations.
Speak to the
cage, yeah.
Absolutely.
It's so much more fun that way as well.
But, you can have your own treasure hunters out looking for the one specific item that you want. Now, I use a bread bin, but I have very specific ideas about the bread bin. It needs to be a porcelain one. It needs to be old school. It needs to be whatever. If you've got those wish lists, then you give you guys a call.
Definitely. And I think we encourage that really well. Go back you were saying something about, how are these outdoor events that we've been having, going all the way back to 150 Fest last September, Christmas, all these events that we have had, it's definitely increased foot traffic. And I've been very encouraged by the amount of out-of-towners.
Yes.
But also our in-towners. In-town people do not shop Rocky Mount.
Isn't that attractive?
We do not have Rocky Mount people walk into our store as often as our out-of-towners. Out-of-towners could mean something as close as Martinsville or Roanoke, but normally, or the Manita works there, we have a ton of out of town traffic coming in. And I think your sales might not be there that night. And I'm speaking as me as a business owner. You have a lot of the stores on our street. We have such established brick and mortar things on our street. I mean, Brian and I are kind of the new kids.
Okay, I agree.
I mean, we have a couple of newer businesses since we opened, but it's very traditional retail to say, well, that me being open late did not bring me the money that it needed to do this, and this. I get it. That is traditional retail. If you want to have that brick and mortar nowadays, you cannot be traditional.
No.
You have to look at it as, but did it bring me marketing? Did it bring me exposure? Did it bring me
how seasonal do you have to be? Exactly.
So it's one place that I think we could use tons more traffic from is Farron College.
Oh, absolutely.
Like we need Farron College in our stores every single week.
Well, we've had this conversation on here about the Harvester. Like I understand the being the beginning of the Crook Road, there's this kind of a tradition and stuff of being a music venue like that. Tap into that Ferrum College base, get some acts in here. I ain't saying, bring, in gangster rappers from, Southeast Los Angeles, but I have no idea what the kids are listening to these days, but there's bound to be some little teeny bop bands or whatever the hell it is, get them in here for a 2-night run. Say, hey, well, this band and those kids from Ferrum will come in. They'll eat, they'll walk around for a bit, they'll shop. I mean, that's something we've talked about quite a few times on here.
Yeah, there's more of an appeal. There's more of an appeal to Rocky Mountain. I love music. Don't get me wrong. And Harvester is great. It's one of the things that appeals to me. But we did a pop-up, I guess, at the end of last summer, where we were pulling a lot of Ferrum College students. And along with those, we were getting a lot of Virginia Tech students, they were telling us. And they were coming through there and they were shopping that shop for vintage clothes. And they were going through Brian's records and the stuff that we have record players and things too. And they were going through it, and it was by far the best clientele we had at that pop-up were those college students who were coming in, picking up a flannel shirt, picking up an album. We had an organ at the time. They were sitting there. They were fun. We had an organ that we had pulled out of an estate. We had it plugged up in the back parking lot. I'd sit them down and say, play the song. I don't know how to play. Do it anyway. And they'd sit there and they'd make stuff up.
Have at it.
And it was just interactive, and they were cool, and they were not worried about it.
I do like, and I know my wife, I know Evan loves it, the vintage clothes that you do. Don't stop doing that. Mm-hmm. I think they're fantastic.
Yeah.
They're classic. They're timeless. And again, it's a new lease of life. So to get into,
I think what he's really getting at is put him a side of bell bottoms away so he can start rocking those things again.
I never actually had a pair of bell bottoms.
You lie.
Maybe wide leg, but not through.
I still got like that easy way.
Well, I have another three. That was full.
We bought it.
Oh,
there you go. There we go. Now I need my cowboy boots.
Well, even more, I mean, talk about sustainability too with that. Like vintage clothing was made differently.
That's it. Oh, sorry, did I say that?
Sometimes it was better. Sometimes it wasn't better, and we have no business putting that in the landfill.
Right.
And you got to look, right. I mean, we were at a pick 2-3 weeks ago, and the fellow was a race car driver around here. We were getting some of his stuff, but what I thought was the coolest thing was his much older brother was a Roanoke County cop, and his coat. So he's saying this police coat is 80 years old. It looks like it's brand new. Wow, that's the kind of thing like it. It needs to be pulled out, and somebody who loves that thing needs to take care of it and wear it, right? Or do things with it.
Or we were at a pick 2 weeks ago, and it was a businessman's estate, so not a lot of work boots or Carhartt or anything like that. But he had 2 pairs of bib overalls, and I guarantee I get more money for those bib overalls than I do for his China set.
Oh, they're bib overalls. Trust me, I've got to wear them in the winter. I love them. Yeah, an Englishman in bib overalls. Shut up, Billy. Shut up.
But I think that's where we're looking to take that whole middle of downtown or the corners that we sit on. It's almost there. Like it's so close you can see it.
I think once the Morris Hotel and that element of, because now we've got the busy base coming on, right. I think with the Morris Hotel, the restaurant there, the false table saw Beacon Angle, which goes back on historical tradition. I think that's a great move on Phoenix Park. To re-establish Beacon Angle as a store is a great move. And it gives that vibe into the historic downtown part of Rocky Mount. And that's gold. You cannot replicate it. So I think, between the three of you guys doing what you do, you're creating that vibe.
And you can't forget Center Stage. I mean, right there on the other corner with what John's doing that's coming at the end of the year, hopefully. We know the things that we've picked for him and he's purchased. It's a lot of history in there. It's a lot of oddity.
I love it. I love crazy shit. But I love crazy shit.
Really good.
That thought process behind that whole setup of how you're going to sit in there and listen to music and drink, even be merry is just, that's where you want to go. And I'm sorry, Philip, or whoever else has a restaurant, but there's going to be a point where you're going to want
to. The competition behind the whole restaurant concept or bar concept.
That's what you need. You need people saying, well, let's hit this spot, then let's walk down the road and hit this spot. They want to go.
Diversity, because you're sharing the wealth, you're sharing the love, and you're also sharing the wealth. Right? So when that exists, we all partake in sharing the wealth. So I don't view competition in that regard as a bad thing. I'm saying when you've got fantastic restaurants coming out for Applebee's or TGI Fridays or what the hell ever, we've got a vibe that we can build on that is individual. It's in historic part of downtown Rocky Mount. It's music related. It's moonshine related. It may be whatever, but it's a venue. And we're creating, I think, within the town of Rocky Mount, a fantastic venue for all of us to partake in and have a very happy, comfortable existence doing it. And it doesn't need to be dog eat dog, knives out, oh, here comes another damn restaurant. But no, these things we need to welcome. You've got to open your mind and say, competition is very healthy. And the more restaurants we have, great. As long as they're not chain restaurants. Can't stand chain restaurants. I think they suck. And I hope the town doesn't approve going down that road. We want individual family restaurants promoting, I think, just that vibe.
Well, like I tell you, I guess they're doing another festival. I guess that's been announced. It's going to be the 151 Festival or whatever it is.
No, it's just called Rocky Mount Fest.
Okay, Rocky Mount. But it's for the...
September.
Yes, September 20th.
There's a big anniversary coming up in 26 as well, right?
That's the American Revolutionary
250.
250, yes.
That's going to be a monster for the town of Rocky Mount, and if we're not gearing up for that now, we're behind the ball.
Yeah, we've already planned on putting a Dunkin' booth up and setting Amos or setting Simon up in his Cornwallis outfit with the red coat.
I may need some more help with braid and a very nice sort of tri-corner hat. I need something with feathers and just grandiose.
But no,
showbiz.
No, a few weeks ago, and I understand we have to start finding ways also to coordinate these kind of things, and I'm hoping some of these business owners are. A month or so back, great example. Crawford and Power played here at the Harvester downtown, sold the place out. You get everybody wanting to come into town, and they decided to do a pop-up show as well at the Alley Cat up here. So you're talking about the Alley Cat getting the business, the Burger Company getting the business, the Harvester getting the business,
sharing the wealth.
If for nothing else, start coordinating. If you've got a big act coming to town, it's going to bring a lot of people. Try and find somebody else talking to like Kobe Helms, do a little pop-up show here or there, bring people in, have multiple shows going in a couple of different areas around, and that gets that foot traffic, especially when the hotel and the restaurant comes on, and I'm guessing there's something happening with the catering company. I guess they're starting in the restaurant as well.
The restaurant's probably by the end of the year. The last I heard from John. But again, all of these projects, the reason they feel like they're being drawn out too is cost of building, the availability of building supplies. I mean, we see it affecting all of our businesses, but it's why you can just see all of these things getting ready to happen, but it's just out of grasp. Like it's coming. It's going to be slow.
It doesn't happen overnight.
Franklin County do not do things fast.
No. That may not be a bad thing.
It's not a bad thing.
As much as you would like to say, I need it to happen now as a business owner, the slow walk is about not just the herd of cows or the individual cow, it's about the herd. And we know where that analogy goes, but that's what it's about. So unless
it's like increasing your money spent by $1 million because, more and more regulations come in and the things of that nature. And you got that'd probably irritate me as a business owner, but I'm trying to bring something in, and we've got up there. That's a whole conversation for another show. But
well, the whole Dora concept behind opening up the town, I think, is a great way to evolve. I think the relaunch of Rocky Mount as a venue, and not just a music venue, not just a restaurant venue, not just a place where you can come out and have a beer, but the Alley Cat Social House, Rocky Mount Burn Company, the Smokehouse. It isn't just about that. It's about evolving as a community where we all uplift each other. And when that works, we will all be rejoicing, because we've made it happen. And
a rising tide raises all ships.
Exactly. You guys are making it happen. So hats off to you.
I mean, I think our vision, Brian and I have talked over the last couple of years of that corner is, to really be a hub.
Yes.
To bring in our vintage hunters that are out there looking for different things.
Okay.
And, it to be a gathering. Can you imagine if, I don't know, have y'all been downtown on a Saturday afternoon after 1:30?
Yeah.
There's not really a lot going on in our back parking lot.
Not a great deal.
But
you know what? That parking lot is an asset and keep it that way.
Yes. So I have a little parking lot attached to my building that is part of my property. And then across, we are directly butted up against that municipal parking lot, which is empty after the farmer's market closes on Saturdays. Yes. Would it not be awesome to be able to bring in, not every month, maybe quarterly, we try once a year. I don't really care where some beta stands. We bring in and it could be a very curated event. We know people. Pickers are a very small community. You know who you want there. You know who you don't. And having that vintage market that brings people on a Saturday afternoon to where we have some food trucks or we have these restaurants or we have the Dora in effect to where they can shop vintage, walking around with your beer as you listen to music and then you get to eat good food. That is a whole afternoon, early evening. And then they're staying around for dinner. They might go to a show at the Harvester. Mm-hmm. They're going to stay in the Morris Hotel to sleep that night. There's a whole lot that could build off that one corner.
Yeah, and that's the retail vibe. And I think we have the venues there to generate the retail vibe. And I think you're there.
Mm-hmm. So I think that's a good setting for, the retail and socialization.
Absolutely.
Together there or whatever.
Yeah. The potential to do that. Now I've now just seen your vision. Okay. You've let it out of the bag. And the vintage retail along with the restaurant, the bar scene, it's a no-brainer, right?
Well, it's not a new concept either, though.
No, exactly. We're not reinventing the wheel.
Yeah.
I mean,
you go up north and you go to a curated, they'll call it a flea market. And the further south you go, flea market has a pretty bad connotation, just being a free-for-all, whatever.
Yeah.
But a curated flea up north is really good vendors coming together to show their wares in one group. And instead of, taking an hour to get through something, it's going to take you multiple hours to get through something. And if you have people lingering, good things are going to happen.
Now, you talk about the flea market concept, and I get that. There's a little bit of a vagabond feel to that, right? So,
and that's how you go curated.
And how I see that becoming and evolving into maybe an Asheville, North Carolina, or a Buck County, Pennsylvania feel to that artsy, historical retail, music, good food vibe. It's all here. So all we've got to do is make it happen, right?
Well, and you got
within walking distance, fairly.
And within walking distance, with an abundance of parking, this actually can happen. And I think we're at the front end of it.
It's definitely, and we could say we're practicing. So we have, starting this coming weekend, our pop-up markets start up again. So they're vintage pop-up markets in my back parking lot. So the back parking lot of the painted truck, the old J&J. We set out, I don't know, it ends up being 3 or 4 trailer loads of stuff you're not even seeing in the support.
Well, that was
store.
last year. Yeah. But
it's way more.
Yeah.
But we build out starting this month. We're going to go through October.
Fantastic.
Once a month. I mean, it's shoppable most Saturdays after we start building it out there. But, we incorporate Brian's stuff in. We have our consigners that I've incorporated in out there. This Saturday, we're going to have the knife sharpener. Any edge sharpening is going to be there. So if you buy tools from us, you can have them sharpen them.
Right on.
Like, it's...
Because sharpening a blade, let me tell you, is not as easy as you think it is.
No.
But sustains a sharp edge.
Right.
And you've got all these lovely little tools that will give you, will make you slice that one tomato beautifully. After that,
you'll see some of this curation we're talking about too coming into play. We've got a very large internet presence between eBay, between not so much our website right now, but our social media. And our concept is to go in and instead of being a free-for-all venue where you're going through and you're looking through like a flea market or something like that, is to have things put together well for the person who's got a specific thing they're looking for. Brian's very good at this. I saw the first day I walked into this and you go, it's like, the person who likes vinyl and the person who likes toys, there's a lot of that together. With Amy, the person who likes painted furniture and good quality antique type furniture, cool glass, dinnerware, things that are serving pieces, that all works together as a curation point. We got one we're going to introduce. We've already introduced it online. We're going to introduce it more so at this sale called Cheesy Grits. Cheesy Grits is our play on vintage, cool, usable kitchen stuff.
Love it.
And then my version of things, PFG, Peach Festival Gardens, will be out there, and I do this rusty, dusty farm stuff that is, brings it together. The point of this is, and the point of talking about, the curation points of this is a set of people coming through and just walking tables and walking from person to person, looking haphazardly at what they have. What you get as basically the antique mall experience is to have experience where you can walk up to an Amy who is good, very, very good with decorative glass and painted furniture, right, and talk to her and get her in focus.
You can go into those experiences where all the booths are there, and you get essentially overload where it's too much, and you go in there, and I've done this so many times. You go in with, right, I'm going to go, and I'm kind of looking for something, like this, and whatever it may be, and you go into those booth markets, and you get overloaded, and you lose the sight of what you're looking for. And that's just human nature, right? I mean, you just get overloaded. But for you guys to be able to do this in the back lots and come out with, I don't know. I mean, your design concepts are great. The farming, fantastic. I think that's a great concept for Downtown Rocky Mount. And I think we should be advertising that.
It's expandable. It's completely expandable.
Of course it is. But we would love to be in that communication chain with you to exploit and advertise what you guys are doing, because it supports your community. So if we can, with our viewing audience, it doesn't take anything for Billy here to swing around and go, hey, we've got something going on Saturday, such and such. Throw it out there. We have so let's make it happen. This is what we got to do, is put all these things together and make us work as a community. And you guys have taken the risk, right? The risk is there.
True.
You've done it already.
Not only have we taken the risk, we have already.
You're invested.
We're already invested, but we change it every time. Like, we are,
and I've seen
honing it to make sure that it is going down the right path and say, okay, that did not work, or that needed to be better.
Yeah.
Like, we do that on a weekly basis, but with our outside events, that has to happen on a monthly basis. Every single.
Yeah, I think so. I think you've got to do that and be creative with it. I think that's.
And if you think about where people say, on Friday night we're going to Floyd, or let's go down the road to Addington, or let's go to Wytheville, or let's go here. We're not looking to be Floyd. We don't need to be Addington. with
We're
Fools
Rocky
Parade
Mount.
all by itself, we
We're
need to
Rocky
be
Mount.
Rocky Mount.
That's a big deal.
We have enough to offer. We've
Yeah.
just got to get
We
it.
don't need to limit.
No.
We are Rocky Mount. I love it.
Yeah, I mean, it's something to where all these other folks and all these other towns and whatnot, hopefully we get to the point where we can all thrive off each other. Say, well, come vacation in the mountains, and you spend 2 days in Rocky Mount, then you might go spend 2 days in Floyd and 2 in Abingdon. But Market is one of those kind of hometown honeymoon kind of deals. I mean, it's such a great place.
We get them to stay in Rocky Mount, then they do that day trip to Floyd, and we become the hub.
Exactly.
We're not the day trip. We are the hub.
Exactly. 'Cause we got the mountains here. We got the water. We got
2 rivers and 2 lakes and 4 rivers and mountains and hills and hiking.
bootleg history, NASCAR history, moonshine history. I mean, it's and I think a lot of people also underestimate. When you talk about the history and stuff as a NASCAR history, I bet y'all come across a lot of motor racing stuff and racing relics and just simple, because we've had, I mean, just on this show alone, talk about Satch Worley, Jimmy Hensley, Paul Radford, Bobby Labonte. I mean, just some of these guys. I mean, guess Bobby Labonte's from around here, but those 3 guys, I mean, they're legends. You just 5 minutes in one of their 3 garages, and you'd be set for life, I think. And so, I mean, y'all come across a lot of racing stuff, and
I remember finding a Lockout of Raceway hat, and Amy was the one that wanted it because of her family connection to.
Well, that'd be sweet.
Yeah. And Brian got me, we can already talk about it because I gave him to it for Christmas last year, but he gave me a program from Log Cabin Raceway, but it happened to be the one that my dad had his best season ever. And it mentioned me and my 1-year-old brother, like it big layout of my dad in there. So I've been collecting all that too from Brian, but yeah, we ran around quite a bit of our racing.
Oh, it shows
a lot of NASCAR.
There's so many folks.
It was just the small tracks, the Callaways and the Log Cabins and the.
But
Oak Level, that was down there, and it's
but going back to an earlier point, so many of these folks feel like, yeah, that was fun for them, but it has no value, no bearing, nothing to be saved. And so it's the kind of thing we did a house a couple of weeks ago, and really the folks, she actually walked into the store today and said, everybody told us that he had nothing that was valuable. Nothing in this place was valuable. And it was totally wrong. And her husband was a race car driver. And we were asking, where's this stuff? Like, oh, you don't really want that? Yeah, we do. Yeah, that's exactly what we want.
Yeah, because people under and a lot of times it's it's all about the story it can tell. Because some people might not want that specific thing, they might want something that a specific story may tell, and that's a great part about this part of the area. In Appalachia, there's just so many stories from this region, and so much folklore, and even where Tara, my wife, was from, that neck of the woods. You get down to coal country, Ralph Stanley, Loretta Lynn, and that neck of the woods. You've got all those. Hank Williams took his last breath probably somewhere near her where her parents live at right now. It's just, I don't know, something about this area, something about what we have, and I think it's a good thing. And I think
that's why you've been stuck in Franklin County. You can't get sound. It's
Well,
just something going on there.
I found a box. Listen to what you were saying. I found a box of records, or we found a box of records a couple of weeks ago. Took them over to Brian, and he pulls out these 3 records that were locally pressed, and shows me this banjo player who is the Pedro
Cooper.
Thank you. And I'm calling my son, and I was like, "Who is a novice banjo player? Have you heard of this guy?" And I was like, "I've been floating around Rocky Mountain now for a couple of years now. I've not heard of this. I've not heard of this studio." And maybe there's no real reason for me to have heard of this, other than the fact that evidently Pedro was amazing. And
he made a press record.
Yeah,
that tells you all you need to know.
Yeah. But
that
for those that don't know about him, he lost his hand at Lane. He was cleaning up one night after work, and I think the story goes that one of the big textile mill factory, the machine was going and he was sweeping up and he lost his hand, and somehow so he had a hook and he used a dowel to go up and down the fretboard of his banjo. So for those of us that can't play, that man can play with the hook and the dowel. So
that's impressive. My grandfather was in a banjo band in the 20s in London that made
78 records.
Okay.
I can't imagine playing a banjo with a claw. I just can't imagine.
And it's, they don't really talk about it. He's on the cover of the album, and, I always point out to people, make sure you look at his hand there.
It's a bit like the Def Leppard drummer.
There you
He's
go.
only got one arm. Yeah. How did he do that?
Yeah, exactly.
Come on. I mean, that's
That's modern history for it.
And that's overcoming, to me, that's overcoming diversity in the extreme. I mean, wow.
Well, I mean, I know this is, it's not really ancient history now, probably 25 years ago, but in 25 to 30 years from now, they'll really be talking about it. But, right there in Boone's Mill, Dubuchet Records, a lot of the guys, Jim Van Cleve, he's a Grammy winning fiddle player. Barry Abernathy, he's actually missing one of his fingers. He's a Grammy nominated banjo player. A bunch of them guys from Mountain Heart, one of their first couple albums ever recorded is right there in Boone's Mill. Now they're with the Appalachian Road Show. And I mean, they're major artists. We had him on a show one time and he's just talking about Boone's Mill like it's his hometown here, because he starts talking about old one Bill at Barney, Frith, going through there, talking about slowing down, driving back and forth. I mean, these guys are massive influences in the music world, have stories about this area. It's and even, kind of got to think about Fairham. We had those people on here. You talk about trying to incorporate Fairham around here. Their museum up there has all the music files or whatnot. What was it they were talking about? The big library of
bluegrass. Their whole
everything,
repertoire. I mean, that's just significant imagery. The guy rocks up. I forget the guy's name. Very interesting old dude. For the life of me, I can't remember his name right now. He turned up with a copper tube, right, that he used as a walking cane. And I looked at it, and when he came in, I went, man, that's kind of odd, but interesting. Anyway, I asked him what it was. And he thought it had a concealed screw cap. Right, so it was 3 feet tall, had a copper tube, and he would apparently the moonshine would be poured in the copper tube. The seal and the handle was recovered, and it was left in the corner. So when the revenuers came, no one thought about picking up, a 1.5, 2 inch copper tube that was loaded with 140 proof moonshine. In this copper tube that he used as a walking cane. I thought it was brilliant. And that piece is a museum piece. And he's just come walking in, bold as brass. Oh, sorry, it was copper. I think about the benefits of having copper residue in your moonshine as well. If there's a health benefit there, sure, for sure. I couldn't believe he did it.
Always I'm going to bring up the health benefits of moonshine.
Oh, well, of course. I mean, it kept in the copper tube. Think about the whatever, blah, 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 blah. Anyway, that was fascinating. And that still exists around here. So when you find one of them copper tube walking canes, let me tell you, we know what it's used for. It was almost an elongated hip flask. And I thought it was brilliant. I mean, I'd say want it, but anyway.
Well, for your listeners who are sitting there looking at one in the corner, now don't throw it away. It's a good thing, and it's worth something.
Absolutely.
It's not just money that it's worth. It's worth it.
It's got historical reference.
Yeah.
And I love it. Love it.
When we're talking about, we're very, very, let me make this very clear. We are super duper, uber serious when we say, do not throw anything away until we see it. And Jason did a pic that I wasn't able to go on, and he did this huge video for me. Like, it was minutes and minutes and minutes long of everything that was supposed to go. What I was most excited about was the vintage Christmas wrapping paper that I saw in that. I was the most excited about that.
Could have been the first things in the garbage can.
It could have been, because we just picked the house, and I'm like, no, please don't do that. So we had negotiated that they were going to pack everything up to send to us. We didn't have to go pack it. What do you think she wrapped her glass in?
No.
We have a really nice assortment about 6x6 inch squares if anybody needs.
You got like that shit anyway. I was just like, that is what I was off.
But I didn't notice it till like the
Too
second
late.
tote, and I went, oh, like, it's not that, no.
Oh, that's awful. I had some folks take some stuff out of the original boxes and then use those original boxes to take the stuff to Goodwill. In fact, that's just like, a cooler that was 55 years old. I had the cooler box and then took all the junk, that type of thing. Like, no, you just throw it in the box. Yeah. So, don't put stuff away.
No, I get it. I get it. And I love that historical. Young kids don't get it. Okay. I mean, most of them don't. It's we're in a throwaway society, and there's the tragedy. So anything that we can grasp back from the landfill, power to you. I mean, because that cobalt juicer it's just so delightful.
There's a generation between what we're calling the kids,
right?
Okay, because that's a very broad group when we're of a certain age. Right?
I'm an odd git. I know it.
Yeah, and they sure might think you are. But
it's all right. Okay. Thanks for Amy for being down story.
You fucking me out for? She said it.
That's okay. I knew it was on the tip of your tongue too.
I have 3 children, 2 of which the oldest 2 are already adults, and my oldest is a minimalist. He does not want extra. He does not want clutter. He does not want anything. He's 27, I think. I never know. So then my middle son is 21, and I am going to donate something, and he's like, but Mom, that's part of my childhood.
I'll have it.
Right. And that's fine. As long as you take it with you, that's fine. So it's almost our parents' age was we're getting rid of it generation.
That's going on very much now, actually, with I'm seeing that with some of Heather's friends, and I'm not going to mention names, but they're offloading stuff. And for me, you got to be very careful about accepting junk. Right? I get it. Junk is junk. Give it a second. Give it a thought. Think about it. Is it junk? That's all we can ask.
Right.
Because I know everyone wants to be a minimalist when they drop dead.
Right.
Right. They don't want to pass on the junk to their siblings, so they offload it. In sometimes the worst possible cases scenario that you can mention, landfill. Retrieve the junk. It has value. Think about it. Have that thought process. Even if it's for a nanosecond, think, is that something that I could use?
Or function.
Or function. Or is it something someone else can use?
Or is it does it have value that someone else could pass on to? It may not be landfill designated. And that's the thought process I think we should all kind of encourage without saying, be a hoarder. Because that's a sickness as well. So, it's a tightrope. It's a narrow edge that we walk. It's between lunacy and genius. Are you a hoarder or are you looking to preserve history? There's that narrow edge.
Yeah.
And I get it.
And when you specialize in toys, you also have that sentimental attachment that you have to.
That's the hardest one.
But the toys.
Now I can see the toys from an original owner being,
but that's my GI
very, very difficult to part with, unless it's going to a landfill.
Right, it's piece of family.
So you've either got to intercept it at the point of an estate sale. Or have someone with the presence of mind to go, you know what, someone else might actually like it.
Old toys.
Yeah.
So if anybody wants to get in touch with y'all, do you just come do estate sales, or do people just say, hey, I got a bunch of junk, come look through it? I mean,
they would have happened. It comes in the door.
Everybody sees in the street. Yeah. Friday afternoon.
You're not selling anything down. You're going to give it your due diligence, and that's all that we can ask.
We will always take a look.
Yeah.
Great. Love it.
We like pictures.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
I was going to say, come look around the store and see what we have to offer. That usually helps out if, what we might be willing to purchase from you.
Yeah. I mean, because just going down the Goodwill, I mean, there's been some fantastic finds in Goodwill, right?
But you might want to take those stickers off before you bring it to us.
Yeah, that may be a good idea.
That's just not that anyone's done that the last week.
Oh, I bet they have. I bet they put it regularly. But maybe before donating to Goodwill, you may want to do a pre-selection and consider calling you guys.
Well,
now, I'm not rocking.
We're right there on the Goodwill.
Exactly. I'm not. I've kind of angled.
We come out to your car.
Yeah.
I'm at Goodwill. By the way, before I offload the trunk, the boot, come over a quick sneaky peek. I get it.
Someone drove by the store. What was it? Last week, all three of us were out there. Someone had their trunk up on their car. All three of us. Like one of us is in the trunk. One's in the back seat. One's laying on the sidewalk. And he's like, "Oh yeah, that's not sketchy at all."
And one guy's taking the keys out of the ignition, going, "You ain't going."
So where can they find your locations at, and where can they find you on the internet at?
All right. So I am the Painted Trunk, which is at 275 Franklin Street, the old J&J building, right there next to Old School. We are neighbors. And I'm on Facebook, guys. If you just type in the Painted Trunk VA, I come up. If you do not type in VA, there is an Amy Worley that owns a painted trunk in Missouri. And I'm sure she'd love to talk to you, but I don't know that you can take stuff to her. So
if you do, you're in for a gas bill that is going to really negate the.
We probably
Right.
I
That's a
think
fact.
we had a deal on that.
Exactly. Instagram, the Painted Trunk, and then I have a catalog that launches every Tuesday at 7:00 on Facebook. So
And your storefront is?
the Painted Trunk.
Was there a blue?
There is a sign on it right now that says Blooming Deals because from where it moved from the corner, well, he moved up there with me when I bought the building 2.5 years ago. But we are rebranding this year, so that sign will come down and some kind of sign
Just so
to be determined.
exactly. But so long as people know that Bloomingdale's is you
Yes.
on a temporary basis.
Yes.
So I just don't want to get any miscommunication.
Yeah.
I want people rocking into the right store going, this is what we were talking about.
Right. And we have a pop-up. The three of us have a pop-up this weekend, which is right behind the store. You will see signing from every avenue coming in.
And cows.
And our cows.
Okay.
Never even said anything about our cow.
We have 2 big Chick-fil-A cows sitting in the back.
Oh, there you go.
You can't miss us.
Well, you shouldn't miss that.
I'm cautious to ask what students stole. That's an unfair question.
That's some projection
Well, you're
going
not
on
far
right
off,
there.
actually.
Probably not. That pig out at BQ on 40. I can't believe that no one's. I love the fact that they paint it green for St. Patrick's Day or whatever they do. Yeah. I mean, in a college town, that would have been lifted and put in some of the most obscene places you could imagine. Not that I'm suggesting that anyone does that.
I think somebody did do that at some
College.
point in time.
I'm all into harmless pranks. Okay, and that pig would be a target in my mind.
If you were younger, you know.
If this is crossing your mind, we have cameras.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, you guys are on. You've made your investment, right? You are money in. You're on the big blind, okay, in poker terms, and I wish you every success. Because I think what you're doing is tying in the retail environment with what the town is doing with the entertainment and restaurant and bar environment. It's harmonious. And I think it's outstanding. I love history. Love it. And you're going to appeal to an enormous amount of people.
I hope so.
Oh, I guarantee it. I mean, you know, none of us are getting any younger, and we love our history. So, you know, the older you get, the more in love with history you become. So, I think you're going to help the vibe of the rejuvenation of downtown Rocky Mount. I think it's harmonious. All the success to you. You're invested, you're committed. Let's make it happen. Anything that we can do to help you make it happen, we will do.
Yeah. That's why I tell people when they leave, spread the word, tell your friends, tell your enemies. I don't care.
Yeah. There's no such thing as bad advertising, right?
One more side to this. If you do want to see what we have the painted trunk on Tuesday nights on Facebook with a sale. You can actually claim a dime right there. She'll send you a PayPal invoice. You can pick it up at the store. Also, we have free shipping. We're likely going to start that with Brian here soon, where we can do some records and things that way. It's a quick and easy, dirty. I don't know what night that'll be. I've had one established for the last 15 years on Peach Festival Gardens, facebook.com, Peach Festival Gardens, every Thursday night at 8:30. It's usually 40 plus slides, and you can go on there and say, I want it. Here's my email address. I'll send you an email. I'll send you an invoice via PayPal, send it out to you. We have a huge presence on eBay, a couple thousand things listed right now.
Brilliant.
On that eBay store, we have catalogs, and so you can go on there. You can find things that are specific for painted trunk. You can find things that are specific for Peach Festival Gardens, PFG. The Cheesy Grits portion that I mentioned earlier is on there. We'll have a record toy section on there, branded with Brian, and then and several others are coming up.
Yeah, a huge bookstore on eBay.
Yeah, huge bookstore.
Bookstore. That's, you know what? When you go into the booth, I hate to keep going at and using that as a tool, but it works to your benefit. When you go in and see all those wonderful old books, leather-bound books, whatever it may be, I still haven't purchased a book in one of those booths because I don't have the time to go through and look at every type of, you know what I mean? I mean, it's you've got to make it simple, stupid, and I get the online way of doing it really made my life a lot easier. I'm going to be looking to come to you and reinvent my old Beatles LP collection.
There's some competition that has a bit.
That's okay.
The Beatles are popular. They should.
Well, funny that. But that get into the vinyl. I mean, if you hear vinyl, you're not going to be doing digital downloads on zeros and ones. Get into vinyl, man. I tell you, you won't regret going back and purchasing a great deck, and just get back into enjoying the sound how it should be heard.
While you sit in a wonderfully constructed mid-century modern chair with two wood arms, and you're listening to that stereo. That's
a fair Foster.
Maybe smoking a Cuban cigar and having a single malt whiskey. I mean, dare I say
it's lifestyle.
It is lifestyle. It is a vibe.
Cut crystal glass.
Exactly.
It has a ring to it.
Yeah.
No one saw that, but you know what it means. Oh yeah, I mean, let's rejuvenate. I love the concept. It's going to succeed. You guys have already invested. You know it's going to succeed. Power to you. I think it's bloody brilliant. Love it.
Yeah, and come. Yeah, no problem. Thank y'all for coming so much. Hopefully we can have this conversation again, maybe in a year or so. I enjoy always revisiting and
engaged.
Yeah, catch y'all
with what you want to do. Anything we can do to help you is something that we do for the community. That's what we're doing. We're doing it now. So, collectively, make it happen.
Go out the store, have a highball glass, drink some bourbon, listen to some vinyl. Let's do it.
Let's do it.
Absolutely. Not Cuban.
Yeah.
I've got Cuban cigars. Oh, sorry.
Don't
I've already been arrested for that one.
Yeah, go check them out this weekend. Y'all going to be set up right behind your location. And as far as you have this whole entire weekend upcoming, this show will be dropping tomorrow. I guess it'll be April 2nd or whatever day it is. So I'll get in there and check him out. And if you want to support us once again, go to patreon.com/getontap. Just a dime a day at minimum. You can do more if you want to. You can help us out and get this ball rolling for us and get these cameras going and keep promoting our region at the highest level. So thank y'all very much for joining us here tonight, Simon. We'll catch y'all next time.
Love you, bless you. Make it real.
drive trucks, we plow fields. We'll work from sun up until it goes back down again. We raise hell on Friday nights. It becomes Sunday morning, you can find us at the Church of Christ. It may sound like a simple life, but the living sure is fine. Yeah, where I come from, we drank moonshine. If it can be broken, it can be fixed. We come from busted knuckles and we know how to use a wrench. We raise our kids, we teach them wrong from right. Yeah, and you can bet your ass that they'll never back down from a fight. It may sound like a simple life, but the living sure is fine. Yeah, where I come from, we drank moonshine. Country music, we're turning way up high, and I can sing every word to a country boy can survive. We like our beer, we drink it ice cold, and the stuff we smoke, well, it's gotta be hand rolled. It may sound like a simple life, but it keeps me feeling high. Yeah, where I come from, we drink moonshine. It may sound like a simple life, but it feels so damn right. Yeah, where I come from, we drink moonshine.